Well, I think the answer is it's probably split, like
really
you
is
said.
A split
it's a split.
And neither hand gets raised.
Neither hand gets raised. The problem with the politicians is different from business people. Business people have this unique ability to walk and chew gum at the same time. Most politicians don't.
Right.
So in business, if you lose in competition with another business person, you forget about it and move on to your next strategic objective. You don't demonize the guy who beat you for the deal. Politicians have a different approach, and if that happens after this split, and all we get is gridlock combined with demonization, then we really got problems. But for the most part, from the business standpoint, we're glad we have a democracy, but we're probably even more happy that we have a free market economy and rule of law. And we take that in stride and move forward. So the world is not going to end tomorrow because of a win by the Democrats in Wisconsin or a win by the Democrats and Republicans in Florida. Yeah. It's going to continue going.
Well, let's start.
The question is it going to be attack on it? And I don't know how, I mean, as a business guy, you really like to do a deal with people you like. You know, and I hear that the Republicans and the Democrats are saying we're going to impeach Trump on one hand, and we're going to try to cut an infrastructure deal on the second hand. I don't know too many people who can deal with that problem of you trying to kill me while you're trying to ask me to help you. Well, that's a pretty difficult process. So I think that the best part for the Democrats is to say, is there a bridge we can cross together to achieve an objective? And for the Republicans to look at how do we bring about the kind of economic change that we've been championing.
All politics are local, and you live in Florida, obviously. Were you surprised that a Bernie Sanders endorsed candidate came so close to being elected governor of Florida? And was he the right guy for Florida in your view?
Well, Joe, you said something earlier about Florida being a deep South.
I said that because I'm starting to see it called the Deep South.
Yeah, I know. I think that name is sort of
How about Georgia?
Passe.
Georgia, the Deep South?
Georgia, you know, because I think with the movement of people,
I agree,
young people, the changes in social norms and behavior and interaction, I think the Deep South moniker is out of favor.
I think so too. Okay.
So what happened with Gilliam? He was a very positive candidate against someone who was seen as a traditional politician in DeSantis. Now, what he didn't do, what he really had to do to win, he didn't turn out the African-American vote at the level that Barack Obama did.
And why do you think that was?
Yeah. Well, he's not a Barack Obama, first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is that African-Americans, for the most part, are not very left of center in public policy. And if you have someone who talks about things in the way that he sounds more like a progressive than more like a African-American leader, talking about deep issues.
To the extent that people did think that Florida could be a referendum, even people talked about it as like, what is it going to say about 2020? Does it suggest that the Democrats actually can't go too far on this progressive side?
No, I totally agree that if the Democrats go so far to the left,
but was he too left? Was that the answer? Had he been more centrist, do you think that he would have won?
He was too left for two important constituents. One, the basic voters of Florida, and the African-American sort of center African-American church sort of motivated, basically wanting not to disrupt anything and focus on their own economic well-being. And when they heard him talk about social issues, it wasn't the normal social issues of, voter suppression or economic opportunity, affirmative action, those things that are bread and butter things that drive African-American voters. And so I think that combination is worth this margin of loss that he had that kept him from beating DeSantis.
It would have been quite a switch for Florida. I mean, if you think of it as almost a tax haven, it's got zero income tax. And to go from that to democratic socialism in one election just seemed like a kind of a bridge too far.
I don't think he was a socialist, by the way.
I said democratic socialism. I said that for you, Andrew. I did. I said democratic socialism. I was very careful not to
I don't.
Very, very careful just to say that. All right, let me go to. I tried so hard.
Democratic socialism.
Democratic socialism is okay. That's what you.
No, it isn't. I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, I thought it was. Okay, you got to tell me exactly how you actually think. Because just define it for me. It's not how I think. Just define it for me. Anyway, Eric, what's your take on the whole?
I so agree entirely with you. I think the Democrats, it's proven, and to Bob's point, way too extreme for the electorate in Florida. And if you look across these races where there was so much hype, Beto O'Rourke, and you saw the gubernatorial race in Georgia, the gubernatorial race in Maryland, the one in Florida, the extreme progressive socialist agenda that some of the Democrats.
Bob's the one that said he was a socialist, Andrew. He's the one that said he was too far left, not me.
That's a loser, and I think that was.
I called him progressive.
Way too left. You said way too left.
He was way too left for that, as Eric said, way too left for that.
Let me ask you a very different.